Okay, sorry about that, guys. A little bit of a snafu there, and well, thanks for rejoining me. I'm going to have to recap some information. There was a small snafu at the beginning there with people getting registered, so that's okay. What I'll do, I know some of you missed some information, so I'm going to just do a quick recap, and we'll back up here a little bit. For those of you that were here, you're going to hear a lot of the same information, but that's all right. No harm, no foul. Um, so I apologize for any of the issues that we had with registration. What I'm going to have to do, just so you're aware, to keep you guys abreast of what's really going to be going on, is I'm actually going to go ahead and have to go back and delete any of my old links and create totally brand new ones. So chances are, if you register for any of the other classes, um, they should be updated. So when we're done tonight, I'll have to go delete all my old ones and repopulate those. Not a big deal. I can take care of that. And yeah, not a problem. I'm glad to see that we could get some more people on board. So let me kind of back up here a little bit, and we'll just start from scratch if you guys don't mind. Um, Let me do a quick introduction here. My name is John Barry. I appreciate you guys coming out and getting on board tonight. Uh, so welcome to Audio Production Techniques. Small little bump in the road here, but we'll get beyond that. Not a big deal. Uh, so basically, what I did is I kind of introduced myself. So let me go ahead and do that. This is John Barry. I am the course director for Audio Production Techniques, and I'm excited to have you guys all on board. Um, I know you guys just came out of a really interesting course with Dave Croft, and you guys were heavily into Logic. We're going to totally switch gears on you now, and we're going to go into Pro Tools. Everything we're going to be doing this month deals with Pro Tools. If you haven't got your book, you should have gotten an email from McGraw-Hill, and it'll be in the form of an email to your fullsail.edu address. If you don't have that book, make sure you contact FSO support because they'll get you up and running and make sure that you've got that book. It'll be important that you have that. It's a very good companion to the materials that we're going to be going over this month. So the splash screen you guys should be seeing right now is the Avid page. Do you guys all see that? Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this link and make sure you guys have the same link. And for those playing along at home, you'll see here is www.avid.com. And you should have the link now posted in the chat board. And the reason I'm going to go here is because we're going to get some assets from here. So we're going to go ahead and log into the account. Of course, my account will look a little bit different than your account. So if we go to my account and log in, cool. So you want to go down to where it says View My Product Details. If you go to View My Product Details, this is going to give you an 8.5 gig loop library that you probably weren't even aware that you have. So you want to go down to the current version of Pro Tools that you have, the version that we'll be using this month. You can use 11 if you want. We're going to stay. I would like for you to stay away from 11. And the reason why is not all of your plugin manufacturers are going to be ready with the new AAX plugin format. So I'm sticking with Pro Tools 10.3.8. You can see that it gives you the installer here, shows you the latest updates. But what I want to show you here is this Big Fish dance loops. I want you to download these individually and store these to your hard drive. I'm going to show you where I actually have mine stored. We'll go ahead and hide this now. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about the architecture of the way I store my files. I've stored everything underneath music, and I have a folder called Sounds and Samples. In the Avid library that I just showed you guys, I put here, you see Avid Sound Library. I had to create this folder on my own. You'll probably want to do the same thing. And inside here is all the different loop libraries that I just pointed you out to. So you can download them from Avid if you want, but if you have your original installation disk, they're located on there as well. And that would probably be a quicker and easier way for you to get them as opposed to waiting on your internet connection to download these files, because again, it's 8.5 gigs, so it's kind of big. But there you go. There's all the loops. Now, in a moment, we're going to show you here, if we go back to my music folder, there's 3 different folders you guys should really have this month. There's the artist remix files, so you'll probably have to create that on your own. Pro Tools folder, where I'm going to store all my Pro Tools sessions. If I open this up, you can see these are all the different Pro Tools sessions that I have. And then I have the sounds and samples. So 3 different folders that you want to basically pay attention to and keep them separate is this will just keep you organized. Up here is where I'm going to store any files that I download from the Endava website. I'll take you there in a moment. Again, here's my Pro Tools Sessions folder, and then my Sounds and Samples folders. It's 3 separate folders that you should be paying attention to and potentially create on your own. Notice I've got a Logic folder too. So I'm keeping all my music organized in my music folder, and I'm keeping them in separate, different folders. That way we can make sure we have them just basically compartmentalized and easy to find. That way I know where they're at. Jamie had a question. So it was view my product details, Pro Tools 10 downloads. Yeah, I can go back and I can show you that real quick. So if I just go back here, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and log out, and I'll just log back in. It'll only take me a second, and that way it'll make it easier for you to see kind of where we went. Now, of course, my login is going to be different from you guys. In fact, mine's not tied to my fullsail.edu account, but yours should be. So make sure that yours is, if you've signed up and registered your products, but you didn't use the fullsail.edu account, you'll need to contact FSO support and make sure that we get that squared away as being your fullsail.edu. And again, that's really for any of the updates. You guys are kind of under a different umbrella since you're part of the Full Sail community. And many times some of their updates will actually cost you money. But if you guys are using your fullsail.edu account, it really should negate any cost for you. So that's the main reason why I want to make sure that you're using your fullsail.edu. So when I log in, you'll see that mine's slightly different, but I've been dealing with Pro Tools for coming up on 17 years now. So I was heavily ingrained in Pro Tools before I even got started with Full Sail. So mine's actually hooked up to my Gmail account. Now yours, again, should be your fullsail.edu. So when we log in, I'm going to go to View My Product Details. So I got to View My Product Details. And then you can see here it says Pro Tools 10 is the version I'm using. If we go to the download section right here underneath my Pro Tools 10, here's where you should see that loop library. And again, it's this Big Fish dance DJ, hip hop, jazz, pop rock, R&B and funk, hard rock, and world loops. I want you to go ahead and download those, and that's where I showed you I created a folder once I had them downloaded, and I put them here in my sounds and samples. So I created a folder called Avid Sound Library, and there's where they all reside. Go back and take a look at the size of that one particular folder. You can see we're a little over 8.5 gigs. So that's a really cool little loop library that you got there. Yeah, that's okay. Rochelle saying that it says mine says 11, but it didn't upgrade to that. Now, for this course, you can use either version 10 or 11, and it really won't affect you either way. The only way it might affect you is with your virtual instruments. And I would recommend, even if you have version 11, go ahead and put version 10.3.8 on your machine. You can see that mine, I actually have both of them down here. There's version 10 to let you know that's version 10, and then here's version 11. I'm going to go ahead and launch version 10, and you'll be able to see my splash screen. The current version of 10 is 10.3.8. Reginald asked, is it okay to have his sounds on an external hard drive? Absolutely. You can really store those extra loop libraries wherever you want. Here's a really good question. Jamie says, should we be at 10.3.8 or do we have to install 10.3.7 before installing 10.3.8? No, you can just go ahead. It's a full install. If you just do 10.3.8, it'll paste right over top of any other older version you had, so you don't have to really worry about that. But that is the version you should be at. You can see on my splash screen currently, we've got 10.3.8 there. So that is the most current version of Pro Tools 10, and it's a good idea to make sure that you're already updated to that version. It's just going to make sure that you guys have a really smooth experience for the rest of the month. If you want to use 11, you can. However, I think once you get to your final project, if you bought any other third-party plugin packages, they may or may not be ready with the new plugin format, which is AAX, as opposed to RTAS, which is the older version. RTAS stands for Real Time Audio Suite, RTAS, Real Time Audio Suite. So cool, just make sure you guys are up and running with the latest version of Pro Tools. Here I had basically a session open earlier, just kind of it was the materials I was using basically from last month's project. So We'll cancel out of that for right now. Let's get back over to Safari, and let's take you over to the Endaba website. So if you're just joining us, not a big deal. You really haven't missed out on anything. I'm basically giving you guys a quick recap, let you know where we're at. Endaba music.com. Oh, I spelled it wrong. There you go. Here's Endaba Music. And I'll go ahead and I'll post this over into the chat. Cool. So this pretty much almost gets you guys up to date. Here's a question here. Matthew says, so we do not have the completely uninstalled 10.3.7 before installing 10.3.8 update? No, you can just go ahead and install it, and you shouldn't have any issues at all. It's a full install, so you don't have to uninstall. I know DigiDesign does actually recommend that you uninstall it, but you shouldn't have to. It shouldn't create any issues. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Endaba, let me just kind of quickly catch you up to speed. Endaba is a free website, so you'll want to create an account with Endaba. It doesn't cost you anything. If they're asking you for some money, don't worry about paying Endaba any kind of money. You don't have to pay them anything. I do have a paid account, and that paid account basically allows me to download any of the files from any of the artists on this website, as long as it's still open and available. So I do have a full paid account. So every once in a while, my screen might look slightly different from yours, but don't worry about paying them. I think they want $50 a year. You don't really have to pay for it. Now, with an unpaid account, however, they're only going to allow you to download 3 of the artists. So we are going to be using this for the final project. So I know it's kind of weird that we're starting the final project this early, but that it's just to kind of get you guys prepared for your week 4 assignment. So what we're starting here with you this evening, it's again nothing that you'll have to turn in until the very end of the month. However, it'd be a really good idea, since we're already teaching you guys how to import files and things like that. Why not go ahead and get started on it now? Waiting till the final moment, especially on a project of this size, it's just not going to do you any service to wait till the final week. In fact, we've created milestone markers that are going to require that you already have some of these steps done. For instance, on this week, we're going to require that you already show us that you've got the artist's files downloaded, imported into Pro Tools with the correct tempo and markers showing the layout of the song. And we're going to end up doing that tonight. So I want to make sure you guys are on board and have this all ready. So every Monday night, we're going to meet here and we're going to go over and take you through the steps of what it is that you should have done that week concerning your final project. And that way, when it comes around to week 4, you'll have most of the main things taken care of, and you'll just have some tidying up work and be able to turn it in, and life should be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to navigate up top here to the very top left where it says Opportunities. So if I click on the Opportunities tab, it's going to show me anything that's available from Endaba's website. Now, be careful in what you choose here, because not everything is considered a remix. And right before we left, we actually started talking about what a remix is. And a couple people had some really good answers. They said that it was a reinterpretation of an artist's work. And that's a really good way of saying it. Basically, a remix, think about a remix as being something, maybe you hear a song on the radio. We'll just use the example Bruno Mars, for instance. So you hear a Bruno Mars song, and then you go out to a nightclub, and you hear basically the same song, but it's done slightly different. In other words, it's got a little bit more of a clubby feel. Maybe it's got heavier drums, heavier bass, and you still hear the original vocals in it, but it's not the version you're used to hearing on the radio. That's what you're hearing. You're hearing a club remix. And that's what we're going to be doing this month. So we want to kind of show you how to actually do that. So first of all, let's scroll down here. The top banner you see up top, I usually steer away from that top banner. We go down here, and notice here are the different artists. You can hover over them, and you can see that it's going to show you, like, this says mix, so you want to stay away from that. This one says submit your original songs. You want to stay away from that. This one says remix. And so this would be a good one for you to choose, because it gives you the opportunity to get the files and actually do a remix. Now, for this month, do you have to submit it to Endaba for the contest? No, you don't have to. However, there are some benefits to that, including money and prizes from Endaba, including usually the artist will actually put you on the single as well. So it's really huge kudos if you make it to that level. And either way, we're going to go ahead and use the original files. Now, if we click on this particular artist here, it'll take us to the artist page, and it'll allow us to download the stems. However, I want you to be careful with downloading the stems right away, because the artist may not be of a genre or music that would lend itself to being a good remix. For instance, if we go down here, we scroll down, you can see the individual files here. These are the stems. And then it says where it says buy the original. We're going to take a quick listen to the original and see what it sounds like. Now, most of us already heard part of this earlier, so I'm not going to play it very too far into the song. But if you hit the big play icon, it's not going to try to make you buy the song. It's just going to allow you to listen to it. You can see you got the play. You got the play icon at the bottom there. Okay, cool. So it's definitely a Latin influenced song. I don't necessarily have a problem with the song. It's actually pretty cool sounding. It's recorded really well. Definitely a professional recording. All the parts are there. It sounds really good. What I'd be concerned about is if we go down here to FAQ, we'll scroll down here. FAQ stands for Frequently Asked Questions. And if we click on this will give us a little bit more information. Some of the main information we want to pay attention to is the tempo and the key signature. It's in the key signature of A minor at 102 beats per minute. So it's not really a bad tempo. However, most house music or most dance music is going to be about 120, 124, up to 130, 140 beats per minute. So it's probably not going to lend itself very good to a good dance remix. Now, a hip hop remix, possibly. It just depends on what style or genre of hip hop. Hip hop can be anywhere from 64 beats per minute up into the 90 beats per minute range, and even sometimes 100 beats per minute. So it'll be up to you to choose what song you want. We're going to go back to the opportunities page, and let's look at some of the other artists that are there for us. I'm going to go back to opportunities. We'll scroll on here. We've got this one right here, remix and freestyle over Yo Gotti's LeBron James to win up to $1,000 and be featured. So that's possible. Let's go take a look at that. We click on it and notice there's two different versions here. There's one here that has, down at the bottom here, freestyle over LeBron James to win $500 and be featured. And then you have this one that says remix. So you'll want to choose the one that says remix, and this will allow you to get those files. So if we want these files, we'll go ahead and select here. Now here's where we're going to listen to it real quick. Hit the play icon and give it a quick listen. And it'll start.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Big wheels on foundation, cookie, 3 birds for a show. Nigga gon' push. Hey, I'm the Button James.
Okay, be aware there is some explicit content in there. I don't necessarily have a problem with the explicit content. It may not be my point of view, but just be aware that the artist does have some explicit content. Again, it's not going to offend me. If it offends you, don't choose this song. Again, it has nothing to do with me. It's just simply the artist and their interpretation. So now if you wanted the stems, you can go ahead and download all the stems. I'm actually going to go back and take a look at another option here. First of all, let's see what the tempo is. Frequently asked questions. It's in the key of D minor and 130 beats per minute. I have a feeling that's double time of what the actual tempo is, but either way, let's go back and let's see if we can choose something else. And it's just my own personal preference. You guys can choose whatever you want to remix from this site. Let's take a look at Nova Amar, and let's see what we've got here. I'm going to go ahead and listen to the song real quick before I choose to download the stems. And let's see what this artist is all about. Kind of a small ambient intro there before the song kicks in.
Something I call you excuse my
So the song sounds pretty good. Again, it's recorded really, really well. Let's take a look at frequently asked questions and see what kind of tempo information. If I had to guess, I'd say about 120 beats per minute. Oh, look at that. I'm off by 20 beats. It's at 100 beats per minute. So it gives us there, it says that it's in the key of C major and 100 beats per minute. So I'm going to go ahead and download these files. Now this might take a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Notice when I do this, it gives me this window that basically says, hey, look, we're going to sue the living daylights out of you if you try to use this. It's basically letting you know this is copyright material. Even though they're letting you have the original stems from the artist, you don't have carte blanche. Just go use this however you want. So while you're working on something for full sale, that's fine. But you can't just run out and sell this to somebody or use it in any way other than submitting for their contest or submitting for your grade. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and click accept and continue. It should go ahead and allow me to start downloading the files. Now, depending on how big this file folder is, I'm going to open this up and actually show you here via Safari. Let's clear out anything else I've been downloading. So it's 158 megabytes. It's saying it'll take about 4 minutes. And so once the actual files are downloaded, we can actually get it over into Pro Tools and start working with it. Now, we're kind of cramped for time here this evening. We did have a little bit of a hiccup there at the beginning of our session. So I'm going to kind of start moving along really quickly. So while that's actually downloading, I actually want to open up Pro Tools and start talking about Pro Tools, and then we'll start dealing with those files. But they've got to get downloaded. So while that's happening, let's take a look at Pro Tools. I'm going to go ahead and just open up a recent session, and that way we have something to look at and we can start talking about what we're seeing inside of Pro Tools. First thing I want to kind of do is I'm going to give you guys a quick run through of the environment of Pro Tools so you can get an idea of where things are located inside of Pro Tools. In fact, I'll zoom this out so you guys can see the entire session. So there's a whole session right there. So some things to pay attention to. I'm going to go ahead and expand the view of Pro Tools. That way it's taking up the entire screen. Command equals is going to take you back and forth to between your two main windows in Pro Tools. And that's going to be a key command you want to get used to because that's probably going to be the main key command that you use a lot. Now, Pro Tools uses a lot of quick keys. I'm not necessarily going to quiz you on them. However, that one that I will quiz you on, hint, hint, wink, wink, you will see that on a future quiz. And it's only because it's your two main windows that you're going to see inside of Pro Tools. Why not get used to figuring out how to get back and forth between your mix window and your edit window? All right, so command and equals. You can do that on your Mac laptop. I highly recommend you guys go out and purchase a full keyboard, which will then include the numeric keypad. However, for this class, it's not mandatory, but just be aware that all of your other major DAWs, whether it's Ableton Live, Pro Tools or Logic, Nuendo, Cubase, even Sibelius, they all utilize quick keys, which would mean you would want to get a full keyboard. Your Mac on your laptop does not have a full keyboard. It's actually missing the numeric keypad, which is basically an extra set of keypad off to the side. A quick little demonstration here of what a numeric keypad is. Let me show you that here. And we'll say Mac keyboard. And I just Googled it, and we'll look under images here. So here is a full keyboard that includes numeric keys, which you guys currently do not have. So notice with this image, what? That was weird. Well, there you can see. The numeric keys are off to the right-hand side And this will be very helpful. So basically, this is all you guys have on your laptop. I highly recommend you get a mouse, whatever kind of mouse you're comfortable with. I use one that has a ball on it because I don't like to have to move my wrist around a lot. Cut down on carpal tunnel. Somebody's asking about a Bluetooth keyboard. The only problem is, take a look. This is the Bluetooth keyboard up top here. It's missing the numeric keypad. I think there are models out there that have the numeric keypad, but this isn't going to do you any good, what we're looking at here, because this misses the numeric keys. So you want to make sure, if you do get a Bluetooth keyboard, just make sure it has the numeric keys off to the side, so it'd look more like this. Make sure you get a Mac keyboard, not a PC keyboard. Again, you don't have to have it for this course. I just highly recommend it. I'm not going to require that you guys learn quick keys. I'm going to spout out a bunch of quick keys. I'm also going to show you where you'd find this stuff under menus as well. But it is recommended at some point in your professional career that you go ahead and purchase a full keyboard, because all major DAWs do utilize this keyboard. It looks like my download's almost done, and that's good, because that way we can actually start learning about how to get these files over into Pro Tools. Cool. It is now completely downloaded. I'm going to go grab it from my downloads folder, and then we'll end up talking about Pro Tools here a little bit more in a moment. But let's not save this, and let's go look at my downloaded files. Now, my downloads folder, just because I just got through downloading last month's projects, it's probably going to look kind of full. But here is the song that we just downloaded. So I dragged it to my desktop, and I'm going to end up using those folders that I talked about with you earlier, and I'm going to end up putting it in my artist remix files. However, notice that it shows here that I have a premium account, and notice the name here. The name says premium. I don't need that in the name. I want to capitalize Novu. Hope I'm saying that right. Amoir. And notice I'm getting rid of any of the hyphens here, and I'm also capitalizing, just like you would do for any artist. Capitalizing the artist name and the song title. And I don't need the word remix in there or any of the others, some kind of weird numbers and stuff. We'll just delete all that. Cool. Now, there's some other good information that I want to go ahead and include in the file name. And that good information I'm talking about is, if you notice here, look at my other artist remix files. I went ahead and did the same thing for some of my other artists. In fact, I included the BPM and the key signature of the song. So let's do that to this file as well. Now, I really do this only just for my own archiving, because that way, in the future, if for some reason I wanted to try to remix this on my own, and I needed that kind of information, that way I've already got it attached to the file itself. So let's go down here under frequently asked questions. Okay, it was C major and 100 beats per minute. I'm actually going to include that in the file name itself. So let's go do that now. So add a little hyphen off the end, C major, and 100 beats per minute, BPM. It's basically the same thing as the tempo. Cool. I've got the file that I need. We'll drop it over into my artist remix files. And since I'm going to create a brand new session out of this, let's go ahead and just copy the name and the artist. Tell you what. And let's get a hyphen between the actual name and the artist. Looks good. So I'm just going to copy this, because since I'm about to create a brand new Pro Tools session, I'm going to need that information anyways. All right, let's create a new session. I also want to do one other thing just to help you guys out. Whenever I'm doing key commands, it might help you guys if you guys see my key commands by turning on a free little application called Keycaster. And that way, anytime I hit a key command, there you go. You can see those down at the bottom now. You can see my key commands. Excellent. We'll go back to my artist. Go to Pro Tools. We'll create a brand new session, Command N. So what I just did is I basically, since Pro Tools is launched, I just went to File and did New Session. And whenever I did New Session, you can see there, that was the Command N. It brought me to the New Session dialog box. So I'm going to create a blank session. We'll leave it as Broadcast Wave. You could do AIFF, but Broadcast Wave is going to be the industry standard, because it's going to be compatible with both a Mac and a PC. I'm going to leave mine at 32-bit float, sample rate of 44.1, and for my I/O settings, we'll use stereo mixed. Go ahead and hit OK. Now it's going to ask me where I want to put this. It's also going to ask me to name it. I'm going to put it back in my music folder, back in my Pro Tools, And let's give it the name, Command V, since I already copied it. There you go. All right. So now this creates a brand new session for me. You can see the session is empty. We can see our edit and our mix window, and there's nothing there. So it's time now to go get the artist files, and let's put them over into Pro Tools. So to do that, Shift-Command-I is the quick key. If you don't remember the quick key, not a big deal. Remember I told you I'd always show you where the menus are at. So File, Import, we're going to import audio. So Shift-Command-I, import audio. When I go to import this, it's going to say, well, where do you want to get it from? Back in my music folder. There's my artist remix files. And I'll just scroll down until I see this artist here. There we go. There's our artist, nicely named. And we'll grab all the files. Now, I have the options here of adding or copying. I actually want to copy it. What this does is actually going to create a brand new copy of the files and leave the original files in that artist folder that I created. But now this will have a brand new copy that will be in my audio files folder of my Pro Tools session. So let's go ahead and choose copy. I brought them all over into this right-hand column, so I know I'm done. We can go ahead and hit done. Now it defaults back to the audio files folder of the session you created, so you don't really have to do anything here. You can just see it shows you under Pro Tools, there's the artist, there's the audio files folder for the artist. You don't really have to do anything here, just choose open. Now it's actually converting the file format. It's converting the file format to match what my session is. Those original files are 16-bit files, and I created a 32-bit session. So it's actually changing these files slightly so that it'll match my session. Now when this is done here in a second, it's going to prompt me. It's going to say, well, do you want to put them over into your clips list, which would be this list over on the side here, the right-hand side, or do you want to create a new track? Let's go ahead and let's create new tracks since we don't have any tracks in Pro Tools yet. We hit OK. And the actual waveforms are now getting rendered. You'll see them getting rendered down. So there's all those files. All right, cool. Now we actually have all the individual files in Pro Tools. And if we wanted to, we could solo out an individual file and actually listen to the vocals. So cool, we've got all the files into our Pro Tools session. Now the main thing we want to think about here, and this is the main thing you always want to think about with any project, is, well, number one, is the tempo correct? And what I want to do is I want to actually solo out the drums here and let you hear that the tempo is not correct. We know it's not correct because what is the default tempo of most DAWs whenever you open them up? 120 beats per minute. Right. Well, what was our song? We already know what the song tempo was because it told us in the frequently asked questions. What was that? Do you guys remember? I actually added it to the title. Yeah, 100 beats per minute. And to prove a point, if we use our tracks list over here, notice if you click on any of these, it actually hides the tracks. It hides them because maybe I don't want to see all the tracks except for the drums. In fact, we're going to use the drums here and I'm going to solo them out. And I'm going to create a click track. I want to create the click track because the click track is actually going to give you an auditory form of the grid itself inside of Pro Tools, which we know right now is not right. And once we play the drums against the click track and you hear that they don't match up, you'll actually kind of understand why this is important. So track, create click track. Excellent. Now, oops, that didn't solo it out. All right, cool. So if we pull up the drum track here, and we'll get ourselves over to the drums here. I'm going to pull up my transport because my transport will let me know whether my click track is actually going to be audible or not. This little metronome symbol needs to be turned on for my click track. So if we play the click track, now when the drums start playing, it's not going to sound very pretty. Yeah, they don't match at all. They sound terrible. So what that means is I need to actually change the tempo of my song here to make sure that it matches. To do that, make sure your tempo is visible in your ruler view up top. If it's not visible, that means maybe you have only just the main ruler showing. This little black calendar icon will allow you to view the tempo. Now you can see the tempo in the ruler, and the ruler view goes all the way across the top. See, that's our ruler view going across the top. And to change the tempo, we want to control click on it and change it to 100 beats per minute. And now let's go and listen to it. Hopefully this matches. And let's actually play it with the rest of the song as well, so we don't have just the drum soloed out. And let's listen to it. Now, it sounds like it's on here, but to really know, I'm probably going to need to go further down the song and listen. But let's just go ahead and listen for a second. Now, it sounds good here, but let's actually go further down the song and listen towards the end. Because if it gets off towards the end, then it's not following along throughout the whole song. Let's take a listen. Cool. So it follows along throughout the entire song. Now, that may not seem like a really big deal to you, but that is one of the most important things that you need to take away from this night, is making sure that your session lines up. Why is that so important? Well, that's going to allow me to do grid-based editing. And when it comes to dealing with any Pro Tools session at all, making sure that the grid lines up to your artist is going to be super important. Why is that so important? Well, let's find our lead vocals. Here's my lead vocal track here. Let's drag to the very top, and let's show you some things that we could do with the lead vocal. For instance, with the lead vocal, if I wanted to do some cool edits to the lead vocal, it's all ready to grid. We'll go ahead and just listen to a section here. Let me turn off my metronome. So it's already to grid. So if we actually zoom in and take a look at the waveform here on this artist, if I change my grid resolution to something maybe like 16th notes, I can then start doing some really cool edits. I tell you what, I'm going to create a new track, Shift Command N. And by the way, so underneath your track menu, new track, Shift Command N. We'll create a stereo audio track. And I'll just nick out a little piece, like this little piece here. I'm going to separate it, Command E. We'll drop it down here, and I'm just going to option drag it. Option dragging it allows me to copy it. And then I'm going to consolidate it together, Shift Option 3. And then create a little fade in on it, and listen to what we just did. We just created a small stutter edit. That was actually really subtle, so what I'll do is I'm going to solo out just the vocal track so you can hear. Just created a small little stutter to the vocal. It'd be basically the same thing as me taking this and just duplicating it. So because it's on grid and because I got the tempo lined up, it allows me to start taking apart this audio and putting it back together in a way that it was not originally created. And this is where your DAW becomes very, very powerful, because now we can actually start taking apart music and putting it back together in a way that it didn't originally exist at all. Let's do this. To show that off a little bit more, I'm actually going to go up to some of the very first vocals here, and let's just listen to what he says in this one little phrase here. Oops. I hope is the word. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a quick little edit here that'll kind of demonstrate why the grid is so important. We'll just take the where he said I. I'm going to take that and edit it, drop it down to the track right below it, and then we're going to apply some effects to this. Now, some of this might be kind of jumping over your head here, but I hope this will prove a point. We'll go ahead and we'll go to my Audio Suite plugin. This is a set of plugins that allows you to paste an effect. And I'm going to go find a reverb. We'll pull up Deverb. I'll use the large church hall. And what I'm going to do first, actually, I got myself a little backwards here. Let's go reverse this first. We'll reverse the effect, go to Other, go to Reverse. So I'm flipping this around backwards. So you can see it's backwards from its original position. If I play it backwards, it's going to sound eerie. But what I'm going to do is, now that it's reversed, I'm actually going to add a very large amount of reverb to that, and then we'll flip it back around. It'll give it a ghost effect. We'll go Audio Suite, Reverb, Deverb, cool. I'll paste this Hall effect on there, and actually we'll make it a little bit longer. Render it, cool. And then I'm going to go switch it basically and reverse it again. So audio suite, other, reverse it back to its original state, but now it has a reverse reverb on it. Put it back where it should go right here, and now it's going to give a really ghostly effect. I'll turn it up here so you guys can hear it. And now this ghostly effect will actually sweep its way into the original performance. I created a little fade in on it as well. And we'll give it a quick listen. Now, everything I just did, I couldn't do it until I had the tempo of the song correct. So we'll go give this a quick listen, and you'll hear this. We'll give this a ghostly effect. So now you can hear the ghostly effect. Now you hear it with the original vocals. Now let's actually hear it with the actual. So he's saying the words "I hope," but it came in backwards. That reverb is like a ghostly effect that sucks into it. Let's listen to it with the beat of the song. So I'll mute that out so you can hear what the original sounded like. We just muted the track. Yeah, it's really kind of cool, isn't that? Isn't that a cool effect? We'll go back and we'll listen to it again. You'll hear it without this. This is now muted. This part you're not going to hear any longer. But now you'll get to hear what the original song sounded like and what we just did to it. Which still sounds good, but with the ghostly effect coming in, it helps reintroduce that part before it actually even lands. Yeah, so here's this very last word. If I wanted to do some kind of a weird delay effect, I could just edit this out and then just do something like this. And this is just to help lead this into this next section. I'll then go and consolidate this. Oops, I missed a little small edit there. Consolidate them together, Shift Option 3, create a little fade out, and now we created basically our own delay. So we did a reverse reverb here. Now we have a little delay section before he goes in this next spoken piece. You guys heard that delay. We'll play that back soloed out so you can hear that just by itself. Put that in with the original vocals. And when we play it with the music, it's all in tempo, so it sounds natural. It doesn't stick out at all. It sounds like it was supposed to be there the whole time. We'll go back and play that for you. All right, cool. So now you guys see why that tempo is so important. It locked up the original performance. So then all we have to do is just take out little time slices of the performance, and it allows us to really add to it really quickly and easily. Now, there's one other thing I want to get to that'll be important, because we've showed some very important things so far. So far, we've taken you through, I haven't really explained the modes. The modes are up top here. There's 4 different modes, and I haven't really explained the tools. And unfortunately, just due to time constraints, I'm going to make sure that you guys go back and watch. There's some videos that are tied to your reading. And without watching those videos, you're not going to learn the modes or the tools very well this week. And it's going to be very important that you watch those. They're very short. I think the longest one is 8 minutes, and there's a set of maybe 8 videos. And they're all, again, very short, but they're going to take you through and explain to you what the different modes do and how the tools work. And without knowing those, it's going to be very hard to get up and running. So make sure you guys watch those videos. Again, just due to time constraints tonight, I just simply don't have the time to run you through those. Not a big deal, though. They go right along with the reading that you guys will have, so make sure you watch those videos. It's going to explain the tools and modes. Super, super important. What I do want to show you, though, which will be a requirement for you guys for your final project milestone, we showed you how to get the files into Pro Tools. We've done that. So we've learned importing. We've also learned changing the session tempo, making sure the grid locks up, how to create a click track to listen for your grid to make sure it follows along. And now I want to teach you guys how to make markers. Let's go ahead and change our grid resolution. Notice I'm working in grid mode, and I want to be at 1 bar increments, because now what I want to do is I want to actually plot out the song. I want to plot out the song so that we understand the song structure. And once we know the song structure, it's going to allow us to take apart the music and put it back together in our remix. And that's going to be super important. So what I have to really do here is I actually have to go back and listen to the song several times. So let me kind of explain to you what markers are and how they work. Let me bring up my marker window, Command 5 on your numeric keypad. Again, another reason why you'll need to have a full keypad. Brings up your memory locations window. And right now I don't have any created. As Pro Tools is playing back, I'm going to go ahead and make some of these memory locations. And then I'll kind of explain how the markers work, and then we're going to create them. So while Pro Tools is playing back, I'm going to hit my Enter key. So Pro Tools is playing back. I hit Enter. There's a memory locations window. I hit OK. I hit Enter. And you can see it's creating them over here in my memory locations window. But we're missing seeing them in one other very important location, and that's in the ruler view up top here. So let's make sure that's checked off. We want to be able to see the markers. And there you can see them now. Now, because I'm in bars and beats, and I'm set to grid mode, it actually went ahead and made them on the grid, and it found the basically nearest grid point, and it put it at the nearest grid point. So that's another reason why I wanted to be in grid mode. Make sure I'm set for bars and beats, because that's the way music is going to be created, in bars and beats. And hitting Enter on my numeric keypad will allow me to create these markers. So again, if the song's not playing back, I can just put my selector tool down and hit Enter, and it'll create one there as well. So I've shown you a couple different ways. In fact, here's another way. We can set the marker down there, and see you have markers here. Little plus symbol will allow you to create them there as well. So notice that's allowing me to create the markers. To delete the markers, you can grab them and drag them down. Turns into a small trash can on it, and just let it go, and it's deleted. You can drag them up. It turns into a small trash can. You can let go, and it'll delete them. You can also option click on them. It'll delete them, or you can highlight over top of them and then simply hit delete. So I deleted all of them. And Matthew, did you have a question? I think maybe you had a question. Okay, coolio. And again, if I miss your question, we're going to be wrapping up here in about 10 minutes. I'm going to leave some time in the event that I missed some of your questions. I'm sure I did, and I apologize in advance. I'll make sure I leave some time at the end of class so we can get any of your questions. Okay, cool. So let's actually go and let's get some markers made. Now, I'm going to make them in... Oh, okay, cool. Sorry if there was a drop out there, Matthew. But don't worry, I'll catch you up. I won't leave you behind. And in the event that I've gone over something too fast, be sure and catch me at the end of class. And I promise I want you guys to get this stuff down. I want you to enjoy it and have a good time with Pro Tools. So now all I'm going to do, what you guys saw me do, is create markers and delete markers. That's all you really saw me do. But now we're actually going to use those markers to stencil out the form of the song. That way I understand where the verse starts, where the chorus starts, where the bridge starts. And once I have those sections, it'll help me to start taking apart the song and putting it back together the way I'd want to create it for some kind of a bigger club song. So let's go ahead and let's do that now. First thing I want to do is I want to get myself back at the beginning of the song. If I look at my main time scale, I can see I'm at bar 7. Well, let's get myself back to bar 1. You can see I'm now at bar 1. And let's create a memory location there called intro. That's the intro of the song. Excellent. Now, I can pretty much use his vocals as a guideline. I'm going to undo a little bit of the edits that I did. We'll leave those little cool ones down below there that I did. But I know that the verse is probably going to start right about where his vocals are, because that's where he's basically starting to open up the story here and tell us what's going on. First of all, I want to do a couple things. Let's use the background vocals too. Let me put those right underneath here. And I'm going to go ahead and label this track. Remember the little vocal effects I did? Let's go ahead and call that Vox Effects. V-O-X Effects. By the way, to label a track, all I did was just double click on the track name, and it prompts you to label that track. Okay, now the reason I did that too is because I want to hear where the chorus is. I know this is probably going to be our verse, but let's just go through and listen and find out what the theme of the song is about. Now, if I had to guess, I'm going to think this is a bridge section. I'm not positive, but it's definitely a nice, more ambient section. Some small vocals in the background. I haven't really heard a chorus kick in yet. That sounds like another verse to me. Alright, can anybody identify an actual chorus in there? It sounded like several verses without a chorus to me. Anybody else find a chorus section? It might have been difficult to actually hear. Yeah, everything kind of sounded really similar. I couldn't find a defined chorus section, and that's kind of strange. Really cool piece of music, but really having a hard time identifying the chorus. I would say maybe these thicker sections through here could be a chorus. But then again, it definitely didn't start off with a chorus. Well, I tell you what, let's listen to what these background vocals are doing. Maybe these are verses, because notice we have background vocals. In fact, let's turn these up and see. Actually, let's turn them up volume-wise and see if we have stuff going on here at the beginning of the song. Maybe this is considered verse and lead vocals or chorus. Let's listen. Those are just kind of him just kind of wailing, and it sounds like they've drenched it in reverb. Interesting. Phew. I tell you what, let's do this. Let's say I'm looking at the sections here, and if I make a selection from here to here, I'm looking at, there's 8 bars. I can tell the song is definitely in 4/4. We've got 8 bars there. We'll say that this next 4 bars is pre-chorus, and that then this now chorus. Kind of an interesting song structure. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say bar 9 is going to be verse 01. I'm going to say that bar 17 is the pre-chorus. And I'm going to say bar 21. I don't know about that, because I really think the chorus. Let's listen to this again. This still to me sounds like verse, and if anything is a chorus, this is going to be chorus, and then I believe we're going to have chorus again here. So I apologize, but let's just actually listen in on this section and take a listen. I think that's pretty much what we got going on. I think that this is still a verse and not pre-chorus. Well, let's just listen. Nearly indistinguishable for me because it still to me sounds like a verse. Does anybody have any ideas here? Does anybody else think they hear something that maybe I'm not hearing? Well, since I don't have any definable sections here, I'm gonna have to just make some educated guesses because this one it really is a tough one. Let's see. We know that this section here, because there's really not a lot going on, is going to be considered a bridge section. There's really no other part of the song that could be a bridge. So if that's the case, let's go ahead and label this. So at bar 27, tell you what, I don't want to get my memory locations out of order because one thing I want to show you as well about memory locations. Notice once they're created in the window here, if you click on one, it'll immediately take you to that section. This is super helpful because as an engineer, if the producer says, hey, do me a favor, get to verse 1, all I have to do is click on verse 1. Or if we notice here, you'll see that it's memory location 2. So if I want to quickly get to memory location 2, I can use my numeric keypad and go period to period, and it'll jump directly there, even while Pro Tools is playing back. So I kind of want to get these in order so that they line up with the song order. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some educated guesses here. I'm going to delete this one that I called pre-chorus. And so we have verse 1, 8 bars. That's okay. Wow, I'm not really sure. Here's another 8 bars. We'll call this verse 2. V-E-R, verse 2. Since I don't have anything else to really be considered a chorus where we get these thick parts here, we're going to call that a chorus. C-H-O-R-U-S 01. And that's a short chorus because then we go back into what would be considered another verse section. V-E-R-S-E. Oops. Sorry about that, guys. And that's going to be verse 03. Back into a chorus. C-H-O-R-U-S 02. And then our bridge. B-R-I-D-G-E. Then back over into another verse section. I think I might have made these verses a little bit too long. I think the verses might be 4 bars long and not 3. The only reason I'm getting stumped over this Oh, Matthew, that's actually a really good idea. Do me a favor, Matthew, while I'm doing this, go ahead and see if you can find a lyric search for the song. Typically, it's probably going to be too new to actually have one, but hey, I could be wrong. Verse 1, verse 2, chorus, verse. Yeah, go ahead and see if you can find a link for that, Matthew. And if you find one, post that up in the chat window here. And that's actually a really good way of looking at it. Go ahead and see if we can Google that. I guess I'll just pick right back up where I was at. I have a feeling that these verse sections, remember how I made these 8 bars long? I think that might be a little long. Tell you what, guys, I'm going to go back and delete a bunch of these because this is really just a vocal chant. I'm going to go ahead and call this verse 01. So if we pull up my memory locations window, notice I deleted everything except for the intro. E-E-R-S-E 01. Cool. We'll call this chorus 01. C-H-O-R-U-S 01. Back into a verse. V-E-R-S-E 02. Which goes back into a chorus. C-H-O-R-U-S 02. Moving along here. Goes into the bridge. B-R-I-D-G-E, bridge. Back into a verse. Oh, cool. You found it. Let's take a look and see what you got. Wow. Yeah. It's cool. It's a really cool song, but it's so stark with the actual words. There's not a lot of words. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm just going to kind of keep going with the way I had it. Because I think we've kind of nailed it down. Let's go back to where I was over here. We'll call this verse 3. E-R-S-E 3. Back into our, we're going to call a chorus, C-H-O-R-U-S. And oops, tell you what, we already have chorus. I'm going to rename this. By the way, here's something that really good to kind of show you guys. If I hold down Control and click on this, it's going to allow me to update or edit this memory location. And the reason I'm doing that is because I already have something called Chorus 01, Chorus 02, so I actually want to call this Chorus 03. I just basically updated that memory location. Oops. It's in the wrong spot there. Chorus 03. Excellent. And shoot. I think we're going to call that verse, chorus, and then ending. It's really hard to identify this one. This one, this is, I guess, because it was made for a movie soundtrack, it's not going to follow the standard format. Let me just give it a quick listen. Yeah, I'm just going to call this verse 4 for right now. V-E-R-S-E 04. Cool. We'll call this chorus 4 and then outro. C-H-O-R-U-S 04. And this will be outro. Okay. Now the cool thing about this is notice I can click on any of this memory location. It's going to jump me around through the song. Let me position this so you guys can see this. Intro, verse, chorus, it now jumps me through the song, even while we're playing back. so it's really cool for being able to navigate around through the song. Generally, I don't really have a hard time picking out sections of this, but again, I think because it was made for a movie soundtrack, it didn't follow the standard pop structure, but you guys got the idea. Now, what we should have taken away from this tonight is you learned how to import files. Well, I showed you a couple things. I showed you guys where to go get your library from DigiDesign, which we didn't use at all tonight. We'll use that next week. I showed you guys how to get your files from Endava. I showed you guys how to import audio, how to change your tempo, and then how to create markers. So that's basically all you really need to worry about for this week, because I need you guys to go back and actually learn more about your different tools that you've got up top. You see I'm rotating through the tools. We didn't discuss any of the tools, and I didn't talk about your different edit modes either. Those different edit modes are going to be very, very important. So those two things you're going to have to go learn about on your own, which it won't be difficult. Trust me, I didn't challenge you too hard. Those are just, there's only 6 tools, right? 6 tools you have to learn about, and then 4 different edit modes. So once you got that down, you shouldn't have any problems with where we're going to pick up next week. Again, I apologize if any of you guys had a hard time getting into tonight's session, but hopefully this kind of got you around. You get to see Pro Tools a little bit. And if you have any questions throughout the week, be sure and hit me up. I want to make sure you guys are up to speed and learning everything you need to know about Pro Tools. Let's go ahead and open it up for questions. I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to get through questions, and then we'll call it a night. So any questions you guys have? No questions. Oh yeah, memory locations block. Command 5, but that's your numeric keypad. Notice I'm hitting it over and over because if you don't have the numeric keypad, don't worry, you're not left out. Just look under your Windows menu, and then you've got memory locations. You can see it actually gives you the quick key there as well. Yeah, not a problem. Good questions. Excellent question. Well, your first assignment is available and open for you guys. It's not due until Sunday, and your first assignment really just has to do with you guys importing files and editing files. So if you'll take a look at that, it's called Pro Tools Assignment 1, and that's due on Sunday. There is an assignment that is called a project milestone, which will have you guys, I'll need you guys to take a screenshot showing me that you've imported your files, that you've got the correct tempo, and that you've created markers outlining the song structure. So yeah, that's basically all you'll have to do with your project for this week. So we're not asking a whole lot of you. We're just making sure you guys know how to get the files and get started. That's about it. Yeah, not a problem. Excellent question, Cameron. Some more questions. Any questions? Holding on for any questions you guys might have. All right, guys. Well, if there's no more questions for tonight, we're going to wrap it. So I appreciate coming out tonight. Thanks for hanging out and learning a little bit about Pro Tools. I'm sure you guys will have more questions next week, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday night. Again, this will be archived, so it will be available for you. Be sure and look underneath your announcement section on FSO Dashboard, and you'll see that these should all be listed there for you. So that's about it, guys. Have a good evening, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care. Good night.